History in the making. A former U.S. president is in court facing criminal charges. Hello, I'm Mike Walter, sitting in for Anna Naidu, and this is the Heat. Criminal trial in the U.S. presidential race. Let's turn to our panel. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Rena Shah. She's a political commentator and CEO of Rylax Strategies. Also with us, Douglas Sloan is principal of National Capital Strategy Group and former vice president of the D.C. chapter. And Douglas, Rena makes a good point. We really don't know what's going to happen in November, but we do know this. The polls keep showing a very tight race. And Eric pointed out that the NBC poll shows Donald Trump ahead, leading Biden by a very thin margin, 46% to 44%. But when you dig into some of the answers, when they were asked which candidate was better at handling a crisis, has a strong record as a president, and is more competent and effective, the polling found that Donald Trump is the better candidate among many of the people polled. How concerning is this for Democrats?
I don't feel that it's too concerning at this stage in the game. We're in April. We're still several months off of a general election. I'm old enough to remember Mitt Romney leading Barack Obama in all the polls at this point back in 2012. There's a lot of time between now and November. Trump has a lot of courtrooms to visit. There are many many Republicans that are law and order Republicans that will simply not vote for someone that is a convicted felon. And let's not forget, we've seen this movie before. Back in 2020, Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. And I just don't see how Donald Trump will be able to win this coming election without adding moderate Democrats and independents to his vote count. And we know after what happened on January 6th, after 4 different indictments and 91 criminal charges and everything that's happened since then, that's just not going to happen. So, regardless of what any polls are saying at this point, especially with how well Joe Biden is doing with the economy, we're just not worried on the Democratic side.
And Douglas, one thing that we are seeing, though, is this concern about young black voters who may not go to the polls this election year. At least that's what they're saying. We want to listen to some of what some black voters in Milwaukee, Wisconsin had to say. Let's listen to them, and I want to get your reaction on the other side.
Typically, I voted for Democrats. It's because my mom voted for Democrats, my grandma voted for the Democrats. Just because of that lineage, that generational type of thing. If I did want to vote, if I were going to vote, as of right now, I'm not. It would be leaning more towards Trump, and I'm not even Republican.
I'm not going back to the polls because the polls, when we go vote for people, they lie to us. They tell us all kind of things they're going to do for us as a black community, and they do nothing. They do nothing.
I think the Democratic Party has not only taken the black vote for granted, they have disrespected the black vote.
Douglas, everybody's got their coalitions. This is obviously a very important constituency for the Democrats. How do they turn that narrative around?
Well, at this point, I think that's what it is. Exactly. It's just a narrative. I believe that when you see black people interviewed and saying they're not going to the polls or they're going to vote for Trump, those are outliers. Cornell Belcher's firm, Brilliant Corners, just did a poll of a significant number of black voters just in February 15th to February 20th, over 1,000 black likely voters and how they feel in this economy and how they feel about Donald Trump and how they're going to vote. First of all, 84% said that they were energized for the election. It showed that Trump's support among these black voters had slipped from 12% in 2020 to 8% now in 2024. And also, when posed with the question of what is the single greatest threat to the black community, Trump being elected to the presidency in 2024 was the #1 concern. After that was white supremacy and white nationalism. After that was conservative Supreme Court taking away rights of black people. And then after that was crime. And then after that was the economy. So if we look at different polls, especially this poll was done by Cornell Belcher's firm, who was a black pollster, and the Black PAC, they come up with a very different story and a very different narrative. So again, that's not something I'm concerned about, seeing a big historical turn towards Donald Trump in this election by black voters. Trust and believe that will not happen.
Douglas, can I just address your poll, you just defined outlier to a T. That poll you just talked about is the outlier. Morning Consult, some of the major pollsters show African Americans are going to vote for Trump as of right now, somewhere around 26%. That will blow the election to Trump in a heartbeat. So you can cite all you want, but don't call the Morning Consult and the other mainstream polls outliers. Your poll is the outlier.
Okay, Douglas, I'll give you a chance to respond quickly if you want.
Yeah, listen, this seems like a replay of a conversation I had with Adolfo Franco when he said, oh, there's going to be this huge red wave in 2022. We're going to slam the Senate. We're going to slam the House. It's going to be great. I said, no, I'm listening to Cornell Belcher, brilliant corners. That's not what we're seeing. Early voter turnout. Voter registration, it's not going to be a huge run. You're going to lose ground in the Senate, and you're barely going to get the House. Same firm, trust me on this one, as a black Democratic strategist in a majority black urban area and former Vice President of D.C. NAACP, I think I can speak on the black electorate a little bit there.
All right, Reno,
back to you.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you all for joining us. A great discussion. And that's going to do it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Mike Walter in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching.